Kingdom that we're tracking very, very closely. Queen Elizabeth II is currently under medical supervision at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. That's where she's currently. It's her country house in Scotland. There's a brief statement that's coming from Buckingham Palace that Queen Elizabeth II is currently under medical supervision, and the team of doctors who constantly monitor her condition are extremely concerned about her condition right now. So it's a very brief statement that we have, but there's a flurry of activity that is happening as we speak in the United Kingdom. All royal family members are rushing right now to the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. The latest update I can get you is in fact that the Duke of Cambridge, the Duke of York, the Earl and Countess of Wessex, all of them have now touched down in Aberdeen. From there, they're going to be making their way to the Balmoral Castle. The Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, we also understand that Kate Middleton is on her way there. Besides that, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex also currently on their way to Scotland. They were in Germany, not in the United States, so they're currently making their way there as well. Now, let's just tell you what we know so far about the information that's trickled in local time, London time, at about 12:30 this afternoon. Buckingham Palace had issued a statement saying that the Queen's doctors were rather concerned about her health and recommended that she remained under medical supervision. And since then, we've seen a lot of activity, a lot of prayers and wishes for her recovery. But clearly, the leadership, the administration right now is prepared for any eventuality. God forbid news comes in of her passing, in which case Operation London Bridge will immediately come into effect, which is in fact a elaborate protocol that's put in place for the 10-day mourning period that will come in case Queen Elizabeth II, the longest serving monarch, leaves us. We understand that Prince Charles, Camilla, Prince Anne, they're already at the Balmoral Castle. So Prince Charles, who will succeed Queen Elizabeth II in the event, if in fact she passes, is already at Balmoral Castle. Prince William, as I mentioned, has just touched down, in fact, at Aberdeen. From there, he's making his way to Scotland. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, has remained in Windsor with their children. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, his wife, they're also, in fact, rushing to Scotland as we speak. The UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has also put out a statement on social media where she says that the whole country will be deeply, deeply concerned by the news that's coming in. You've got a number of reactions from politicians, from important figures in UK society. The Archbishop of Canterbury has said that he's sending across his prayers, and the First Ministers of Scotland and Wales joined well-wishers in sending their thoughts. We're also tracking very closely what's playing out at Buckingham Palace. Some tourists already gathering there in large numbers. Reportedly, emotions running high outside Buckingham Palace. Many locals, tourists seen gathering there in tears at the news about the Queen's health. There's usually a change of guard that happens at Buckingham Palace. There's a small notice that's been put up outside the palace saying it will not happen in lieu of the news that's coming in on the Queen's health right now. There's in fact been a lot of talk about the pictures that had also emerged. Just yesterday, in fact, the Queen had met with the newly appointed UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss. She had travelled all the way to Scotland to meet with Queen Elizabeth II, which is by itself breaking protocol. And those pictures, of course, was something a lot of people had spoken about, saying the Queen did look rather frail. But the fact that she was going ahead with her constitutional duties spoke volumes, really, about how, despite being in frail health, she decided to continue with her constitutional duties. In fact, today, all of the meetings, the prior virtual meets that were lined up, have been called off because of the team of doctors saying that they were rather concerned about her health. Now, we understand that right now all of the family members are rushing to, in fact, Balmoral Castle as we speak. Buckingham Palace, in their statement, which I read out earlier, in which they had said that she is currently under medical supervision in Scotland, has said that the 96-year-old monarch remains comfortable. So that's one communication that's come in. What's also led to endless speculation is that the state broadcaster in the United Kingdom, the BBC, has suspended their flagship network of BBC One, which is a part of, in fact, their entertainment schedule. So that has been stopped for the moment. Also, all of the TV anchors on BBC are currently donning black That's led to a lot of speculation that unfortunately things don't seem to be taking a good turn as far as the Queen's health is concerned. There's also a series of protocol that's followed in these cases. From the 1960s, actually, Operation London Bridge has been kept on standby in the eventuality, or if the news ever comes in, unfortunately, of the Queen's demise, immediately the operation comes into effect. And part of that is that BBC anchors will be dressed in black. So all of the anchors are already in black. You can see many of them sporting black ties, which has led to speculation, endless speculation really, about what's coming in. But what we can tell you here on India Today, we're going by the official statements that are coming in from Buckingham Palace. And so far, there's been no communication. The last statement that was really released was about about her being under medical supervision and that she remains comfortable, that family members currently, as we speak, are rushing to Scotland. It's normal for the Queen to currently be at her country house at this time of year. Usually it is during September that she heads back to Buckingham Palace, but this time, considering her health, she remains put at Scotland. She remains put at the Balmoral Castle. Prayers, wishes pouring in from across the world right now. We can also tell you that the Duke of Cambridge, the Duke of York, the Earl and the Countess of Wessex have arrived at Aberdeen. So they're driving straight, in fact, to Balmoral Castle. I know a lot of you are awaiting some information that we can get you about the Queen's health condition right now. The Buckingham Palace is not expected to put out any statement for the moment. Only when there is some tangible input that comes in, only when there is some big update that comes in, only then will we really expect some sort of a statement or communication from Buckingham Palace. So right now, we're all sending across our prayers, keeping our fingers crossed for some positive news as far as the Queen's health is concerned. What's ailing Queen Elizabeth II? We don't have those details. As I said, it's a very brief statement that's been put out by Buckingham Palace, in which they've spoken about her health condition being worrying, being concerning, but they haven't given any details about what's ailing the Queen, and only gone on to also state at this point that she is being very closely monitored and that she remains comfortable at the Balmoral Castle. Prince Charles is already there. We also understand that Princess Anne, Camilla, all of them are currently at the Balmoral Castle by the Queen's side. All the other royal members, as we speak, are rushing there as well. We understand that already there's a sizable crowd that's gathering at Buckingham Palace, concerned fans of the monarch, tourists, locals, they're all gathering there hoping to get some news about Queen Elizabeth II. Truly, if any worrying news trickles in, and as I said, we're all praying otherwise, but if that does come in, Operation London Bridge immediately will be put into effect, which means a 10-day mourning period in the United Kingdom. Flags will be flown at half-mast if any announcement is to be made today. Remember, currently at this point, the last communication that came in from Buckingham Palace was at about 12:30 p.m. That was London time. And right now, the time in London is 4:20 p.m. in the evening. So if there's any communication that comes in from Buckingham Palace, it will be after due procedure and due protocol is followed, which is that the Prime Minister, the newly appointed Prime Minister, Liz Truss, will first be informed with a very brief email being sent across to those who are in fact the top leaders. What you're seeing on your screens right now are the last images that we've seen publicly of Queen Elizabeth II. This was from just yesterday when the newly appointed British Prime Minister Liz Truss met with her. She travelled to Scotland, to the Balmoral Castle. It was reported that because of the Queen's health, she wasn't able to travel to London. So breaking protocol, in a first, you had the UK Prime Minister actually travelling to Scotland to meet with Queen Elizabeth II. You can see that while many felt that the Queen seems to be doing okay, she looks much frailer than usual, much smaller than usual, but really astounding. The fact that her team of doctors say that currently her health condition is concerning, is worrying, and just hours before that, there she is, meeting with Liz Truss there, continuing with her constitutional duties. This is the last picture that we really have on record that was released by the Buckingham Palace and the Prime Minister's office, showing Queen Elizabeth II. She had several other duties, we understand, that were to be performed today as well. Virtual meetings that were to be held. Those will not happen today, and Buckingham Palace has cancelled all virtual meetings. In fact, all royal engagements have been called off for all members of the royal family, because most of them are making their way to Scotland as we speak. Remember, the world, in fact, was shook just last year in 2021 April when we lost Prince Philip at the age of 99. The Queen, of course, was very, very distraught then. And now a year on, here's the news that's trickling in that she's currently under medical supervision. There are wishes that are pouring in from across the world. Liz Truss also took to social media earlier saying that the whole world will be deeply, deeply concerned by the news that's coming in right now. We are being told right now that the Buckingham Palace has also called off the changing of the guard. It was due to take place tomorrow, but that's not going to happen, is what we're hearing, keeping in mind at this point the information that's trickling in. Now, there were several members of the royal household who were on board a flight, a Royal Air Force flight that had taken off from London. It's landed at the Aberdeen airport, and initially there was no information really of who was on board, but we can confirm for you now that Prince William, Prince Andrew and Edward were all on board that plane. They've landed in Aberdeen, are being driven straight right now to the Balmoral Castle. It's all of this flurry of activity that's really got people concerned right now that there could be some troubling news that's coming in right now. So the news that's coming in right now, and we are waiting for any information that comes in from Buckingham Palace. We're also getting you what's happening at the Windsor Palace. Now, the Windsor grounds, that's where Kate currently is. Kate Middleton and her children are currently at Windsor Palace. At this point, what we're hearing is that the town, which is normally full of tourists, is looking rather quiet right now. A lot of the people who are based in Windsor have left, and the royal family, many of whom are based currently in Windsor, have left and are making their way to Scotland. At this point, we can tell you that Prince Charles and Camilla are currently in Scotland. We're getting you every update that's coming in right now from Balmoral Castle in Scotland. We're getting you the details that are trickling in on the royal family who is making their way to Scotland right now. So we understand that Prince William, Andrew, Edward, they've all landed in Aberdeen. Kate Middleton is with Prince William and her children in Windsor, so she's not currently making her way there. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry, as well as Meghan Markle currently are also rushing to Scotland as we speak. Let's all hope and pray for the best right now, but it's not looking good considering that you're seeing all of the royal family members right now rushing to Scotland at this point. But Buckingham Palace maintains that Queen Elizabeth II, aged 96, is comfortable right now at the castle. She's being looked after by a team of doctors. They had monitored her early this morning, and that's when they reported that her health condition was concerning, and that's why they said that she is currently under medical supervision. We don't have any details of what's ailing the Queen, but these are the last stills that have really emerged of Queen Elizabeth II in her last public meeting, it looks like, which was with Liz Truss. She looked well, the sense that you could see that she's corresponding with Liz Truss, going ahead with, in fact, her constitutional duties, but much frailer than how we know Queen Elizabeth II to look. And the usual buzzy, avatar that you see around Queen Elizabeth II, always bossy, always talking to the people all around her, whether it's her great-grandchildren, her grandchildren, instructing them on what to do. That kind of a demeanor seems to be missing in those pictures that we're showing to you. This will be a huge loss to the United Kingdom, to the world really, nothing short of the end of an era. There is a lot of suspense, a lot of fake news that's doing the rounds. Don't believe any of that. I can confirm for you that the Buckingham Palace has only issued one brief statement up until now, saying that the Queen is under medical supervision. She is the longest serving monarch currently in the United Kingdom and in the world, really. These are pictures from years ago when Queen Elizabeth II actually took charge of the throne. At a very young age, she was, of course, thrust into the spotlight, given all of these responsibilities. And most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with her story because of all of the TV series, the documentaries that have been made inspired by her story. And what a story really it's been of success, of a woman rising above all else to ensure that she is a monarch to the people, that she serves the people. And her story is something, of course, that everyone talks about, considering that she is the longest serving monarch in the world. That's why we say that this will be truly the end of an era if there is any bad news or any tragic news that trickles in from Buckingham Palace. The protocol in the case, and I say this, of course, hoping from the bottom of my heart that there's no bad news that we get in the next few days. But in case something does happen to Queen Elizabeth II, the news will be broken by Buckingham Palace in a very brief statement. There will also be a televised address by Prince Charles, who is the successor in this particular case, who will be the successor to Queen Elizabeth II. He's currently by the Queen's side. He is currently at the Balmoral Castle along with Camilla. Prince Anne is also there. All other royal family members, as we speak, are rushing to the spot. We are tracking all the latest updates that are coming in right now. Not much really at this point as far as the Buckingham Palace is concerned. The only statement that came in from them said that she remains comfortable and that she is being very closely monitored. She is under medical supervision. Now, the new UK Prime Minister, Liz Truss, has also put out a statement saying the whole country will be deeply, deeply concerned by the news that's coming in. And as we track all the reactions that are pouring in right now, several political leaders in the United Kingdom have sent across their wishes, their prayers. They've expressed deep concern over the Queen's health. In fact, at this point, Prime Minister Liz Truss, in her statement, brief one that she's put out on social media, has said the thoughts of people across the UK are with the Queen and her family. We also understand at this point that there was a Commons debate happening in London Parliament, and it was interrupted by the news that came in about the Queen. There was a debate that was happening, and just about at that time, the UK Prime Minister was informed about the Queen's health and had left the chamber. That's when, because of all the speculation, she tweeted saying the whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace this lunchtime. My thoughts and the thoughts of people across our United Kingdom are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time. Her words, of course, were echoed by other politicians. You had Labour leaders, you had the Scottish Prime Minister, the First Minister of Wales, Liberal Democrat leaders, all of them taking to social media, sending across their heartfelt thoughts and prayers to Her Majesty the Queen, to the royal family. And even as, in fact, we look at all the images that are coming in right now, the messages, the prayers, and the thoughts that are pouring in with the royal family, this will be a news, and this will be something that's tracked very, very closely by the political circles as well. The Queen may not be politically active in the sense that she has more of a constitutional duty as Her Royal Majesty, as the Queen. But despite that, it's no doubt going to send ripples implying far-reaching and not just limited really to the United Kingdom, but to the world. Operation London Bridge, which I've been speaking about for the last few minutes, also kicks into focus the moment any news trickles in about the Queen's demise. And Operation London Bridge is something that's been part of protocol from the 1960s, put in place in case there's any news that trickles in about the Queen's demise. It's known, in fact, by its code phrase of the London Bridge is down. I'm sure you've heard of this term before as well. It refers to the Queen and if the Queen leaves us, in which case the immediately 10-day mourning period comes into effect, and all of the protocol that is to be followed for her state funeral also comes into effect. But how will you hear about the news? There will be a brief statement that is put out by Buckingham Palace on social media. In fact, it is Prime Minister Liz Truss who will be informed first, and then there will be the close council of ministers who will also be told the news. After that, a brief statement will be put out by the Buckingham Palace, and then 10 minutes later, in a matter of 10 minutes, all flags will be flown at half-mast. And as we get you all of these pictures, really reminiscing Queen Elizabeth II's journey as the longest serving monarch of the country, this is the legacy really that we're talking about, and why this is such a big deal for the world right now, why everyone across the world is talking, is praying for Queen Elizabeth II. It's because she's left such an indelible mark in the history of this world as a monarch, as someone who's part of the royal family, longest serving monarch in the world. And at such a young age, at such a delicate age, she took over as the Queen of the United Kingdom. So much was expected of her. She was thrust into the public eye and rose really above all of those challenges to serve the United Kingdom and to truly rise to the rank that she holds and fittingly holds right now. So that's why her story is something that resonates with so many people, a woman who rose above all of these challenges and ensured that for the world she's seen as a monarch, she's seen as the Queen. And that's why prayers right now are pouring in from across the world for Queen Elizabeth II. At the Buckingham Palace, already we understand that people are gathering in large numbers, hoping and praying for some, in fact, news, some positive news that could come in at this point. The Archbishop of Canterbury has also sent across his prayers for, in fact, Queen Elizabeth II. At this point, there is a lot of information that's coming in about the movement of the royal family members. What we can also tell you, and I think the images that we're showing right now is from Aberdeen, where Prince William as well as Prince Edward and several others have actually touched down. From here, they're going to be driving down and they're currently on their way to the Balmoral Castle. So all royal family members rushing there as soon as possible. This was a plane that took off from London. Initially, there wasn't a lot of clarity on who were the royal family members on board, but once the plane touched down in Aberdeen, with the images that have trickled in, the BBC has also confirmed that it is Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, as well as several others who are currently making their way to the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. All royal engagements have been called off for the day. Not just that, we understand that the change of guard, which was scheduled to happen at, in fact, the Buckingham Palace, has been called off. That was supposed to happen tomorrow. It's been called off right now. These are the latest images that we're getting to you from Aberdeen. From Aberdeen, in fact, the royal family members are currently making their way to the Balmoral Castle by road, and we understand that it in fact is about a 1-hour drive away. So any moment now it's expected that Prince William will also reach the Balmoral Castle. In fact, Aberdeen is the closest airbase to Balmoral Castle. From there, it's about 47 miles away, 48 miles away, which means it's going to take about 1 hour for the royal family members who are currently in those vehicles to reach the Balmoral Castle. Buckingham Palace, we're being told from BBC, will be putting out a statement once they have some clarity, once there is anything concrete or sizable to report. So that means that right now there is no change, no update as far as the Queen's health condition is concerned. As far as the UK Parliament is concerned, we're being told that the Speaker has also updated the Parliament on the Queen's health. Again, very, very brief statement that's been put out based on what's been mentioned so far by, in fact, the Buckingham Palace. That is the statement, and don't expect anything more to come in at this point. A lot of media that's currently waiting outside the Balmoral Castle in Scotland. There are pictures that are trickling in as we're getting you all the live updates here. It's pouring right now at the Balmoral Castle. So amid the heavy rain, there's a flurry of activity as cars are going into the castle at this point. There's a heavy media contingent also deployed right now there. But as far as live updates are concerned, not much that's trickling in on the Queen's health. For that matter, there's no information really on what's ailing Queen Elizabeth II. The only information we have is that she remains comfortable, and that's the statement that's been put out right now by Buckingham Palace. We understand that all of the Queen's children and grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, they're all in fact spread out across the United Kingdom. Many of them were also traveling, so they're all rushing back right now to ensure that they're there by the Queen's side at this difficult time. All royal engagements, we're being told, have been stopped for the moment, and live updates that are pouring in right now about the family members rushing there. Statements that are coming in. Liz Truss, the UK Prime Minister, has put out a statement, as I mentioned earlier, about 4 hours ago. She tweeted, And let me just read out the statement for you. She says, the whole country will be deeply concerned by the news from Buckingham Palace. My thoughts and the thoughts of people across our United Kingdom are with Her Majesty the Queen and her family at this time. All the Queen's children, 4 children, are currently with her at Balmoral Castle. We understand that the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, her grandson, is currently on his way any moment now. We're expecting that update that he's reached as well, because he touched down in Aberdeen, which is what we're showing you right now, that footage of that plane touching down and Prince William disembarking from the plane by road from Aberdeen to the Balmoral Castle is about 1 hour away. Queen Elizabeth II was born on April 21st, 1926. She's currently 96 years old. She's been ailing for some time, though we don't have many details of really what her health condition is. There have been no details about what ails her, but brief statements that have come in from the Buckingham Palace did suggest that she was of frail health, which you see in these pictures as well. These were the last pictures released by Buckingham Palace. This was on Tuesday. For us, of course, it was out on Wednesday of UK Prime Minister Liz Truss meeting with the Queen. Usually Queen Elizabeth II and any monarch really in the UK, if they are to meet with the Prime Minister, especially a newly elected one, it always happens in London at Buckingham Palace. But this time, keeping in mind her health, we understand that Liz Truss actually travelled to Scotland, to the Balmoral Castle, to meet with Queen Elizabeth II. Let's put those pictures out once again for our viewers of Queen Elizabeth II meeting with Liz Truss. Those are the last pictures that we have of her in a public meeting. You can see that while she's active, you can see that she's standing on her own, talking to Liz Truss, shaking her hand, smiling, and seems to be engaged in some sort of dialogue. She does look much frailer than we know her to be. She is, of course, someone who's always been extremely active for her age. At 96, look at her holding on with her constitutional duties. There have, of course, been many occasions when Prince Charles has also stepped in when the Queen has been indisposed. But this was just from Tuesday when Queen Elizabeth II, smiling there, engaged in dialogue, shaking the hand of Liz Truss. This was at the Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where she currently is. From 1936, that's when she became the heir apparent. Imagine that. She was just 10 years old at that point. And then, of course, in 1947 is when she'd married Prince Philippe as well. She took over as the Queen in 1952, February 6th, 1952, in, of course, an extremely grand ceremony. It was, in fact, when she was on a royal tour in Kenya that she got the news of her father's passing. And that's when she ascended the throne. The official ceremony actually at the Westminster Abbey, the coronation of Elizabeth II, when she became Queen Elizabeth II, happened on June 2nd in 1953. At that point, of course, so much was happening. Winston Churchill was also the Prime Minister, the British Prime Minister. Since then, she's been served by 15 Prime Ministers. During her reign, there have been 14 US presidents. And that explains to you how long she's really served as the monarch, the longest serving monarch in the world, not just in the United Kingdom, but in the world. She remains the Queen of 15 realms. This includes, of course, the United Kingdoms. You have Canada, New Zealand, Jamaica, Antigua, Barbuda. You've got the Bahamas, Belize, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, St. Lucia. I'm naming just a few here. And that's why any news about her health is extremely concerning for the entire world. It was, in fact, just a few months ago, on February 6th, 2022, that the Queen had celebrated her platinum jubilee, the 70th anniversary of her accession. And you saw this massive gala, you saw this huge celebration when the royal family, of course, came together to hail Queen Elizabeth II. It was a ceremony, an event that went on for days together. Queen Elizabeth II was part of those events. She was seen, in fact, talking to so many people, interacting with her great-grandchildren. All those images went viral very quickly. And now the news coming in that her health has deteriorated. To what extent, we don't know. The only information we have is that she's currently under medical supervision. Her regular health checkup that was conducted early this morning, that's when the doctors flagged up that, look, her health remains very concerning. And that's when the decision was taken to put out a very brief statement by Buckingham Palace saying that she's under medical supervision. All engagements that were slated to happen today, including a virtual meeting, has been called off. All royal family members are rushing to the Balmoral Castle. There's been no statement since that's come in about her condition, but we are, of course, tracking the latest updates. What's also led to a lot of talk is the fact that the BBC anchors, currently the BBC coverage shows, in fact, all of these anchors dressed in black right now. Now, let's also tell you, in fact, that as per the information that's coming in right now from the Buckingham Palace, doctors were concerned. That's all they've said. But if you look at what the BBC is putting out, the state broadcaster, they are saying that for the Buckingham Palace to even say that much is something that's overwhelming, is something that's unprecedented, because they say that the kind of communication that comes in from Buckingham Palace is usually very, very brief. This too for us seems extremely brief because we have no details right now of what's ailing Queen Elizabeth II, royal family members, her entire family rushing there to be by her side at Balmoral Castle. We're going to continue getting you all the updates that comes in from Buckingham Palace. At this point, all we can do is pray and hope for some positive update on the Queen's health. Of course, we as a nation, our prayers are pouring in for Queen Elizabeth II's health. But stay with us here in India Today. Any update that comes in from the Buckingham Palace, we will ensure that we put it out for you as well. At this point, I'm wrapping up this broadcast, but stay with us because we will continue getting you every update that comes in on the Queen's health as we hope and pray for the best.